Hey, it's Annemarie with Speak Confident English. I know that one of the most challenging parts of using another language is feeling like yourself. When you speak, being able to express yourself and say exactly what you want. Whether you're talking with a neighbor, doing some small talk about the weather, or talking about some of the projects that you have at work right now. In all of those conversations, you have an option. You can use simple, basic vocabulary and words like very, very difficult, very tired, very hot, very boring. Or you can use powerful words that help you really express what you want to say, that have an impact and are much more interesting in conversation and in writing. That's exactly what I want to help you do today, and we're going to do it in one simple way. I'm going to help you learn how to avoid using the word very in English. Today's Confident English lesson is part 1 in a 2-part series that I'm doing on how to help you expand your vocabulary so that you have more advanced vocabulary, more creative and powerful words, and the ability to truly express what you want to say in a variety of situations so that your conversations are always interesting and fun. You're going to get clear, easy to follow examples. And then at the end, I've got a challenge for you to really perfect this skill and immediately add some new, powerful words to your vocabulary in English. Then, next week, I'm going to share part 2 of this series, where you're going to learn my step-by-step process for how to continually add advanced vocabulary to your English, so it's always growing, and how to remember them, so you don't lose or forget those words. Let's start right away with why you should avoid the word very in English. I've got 2 sentences for you, and I want you to tell me which one is more interesting and exciting to you. Yesterday, I did a really hard workout at the gym, and afterwards, I was very tired and very thirsty. Okay, that's cool, but here's another example. Yesterday, I did a grueling workout at the gym, and afterwards, I felt drained and parched. What do you think? Which one of those sentences would you choose as a more interesting, more powerful sentence to use? Before you decide, let's look at one more example. Again, I've got 2 sentences, and I want you to tell me which one is more interesting. Number 1, she felt very happy about the promotion and was very excited to tell her parents about it. Or number 2, she was overjoyed with her promotion and she was eager to tell her parents about it. So in those 2 examples, which sentence did you choose as the more interesting one? You probably chose sentence number 2, but why? Words like grueling, drained, parched, and overjoyed are stronger adjectives. They're more powerful. They give us a clearer, more interesting picture in our mind. Now, in a moment, I'm going to tell you exactly what those words mean and how they are a little bit different than words like very difficult, very thirsty, very tired. But you might be thinking, why is the word very so bad? You probably learned to use it in a grammar book. You hear it in conversations and on TV a lot, so what's wrong with it? And you're right, we do use words like very, really, and so to add emphasis. But here's the problem. We overuse those words, and when we use them too much, they lose their meaning, their power. They become kind of boring, lazy words. When you begin to avoid using the word very in English, you become more creative and powerful in your language, and you'll be able to adapt to conversations effortlessly in English. Effortlessly is a great alternative to very easily. So now that you know why we should do this, let's look more closely at how you can stop using the word very and which words to use instead. Let's start by going back to those examples that I used earlier. Remember, I talked about yesterday I had a very hard workout at the gym versus yesterday I had a grueling workout at the gym. By making that simple change, replacing very difficult with the word grueling. It creates a more powerful image in our mind because the word grueling means punishing, torturous, demanding. A hard workout might be going on a long run with your friend in the morning. But usually when you go on a run with your friend, you kind of chit-chat at the beginning, you enjoy the morning air, and you probably are not running as fast as you can. It's kind of a workout and kind of just hanging out with your friend. And maybe after 35 minutes of running, you start to get a little bit tired, so it's a hard workout. But a grueling workout is when your heart is going to explode in your chest. You can't breathe. And when you're finished, your body, your muscles are so tired that when you get a glass of water to drink, you are shaking. That is a grueling workout. So it gives us a very different picture in our mind. The same is true when you think about very tired versus drained. Very tired means you kind of want to go to sleep, but drained means you have zero energy. You're fighting to keep your eyes open. And remember the second example where we said she was very happy about her promotion? Happy is when something makes you feel good inside. For example, I feel good when I run in the morning. I feel good when I have a cup of coffee in the morning. But overjoyed is when you are jumping and clapping and dancing because you're happy times 100. Again, that little change by avoiding the word very gives us a better picture in our mind of what you really want to say. Now, let's stop for a moment because I know you might be thinking, but Annemarie, this is my problem. I try learning new words. It's really hard for me. I don't know how to do this. And I've got two answers for you. Number one, keep watching this lesson because I'm giving you examples that you can immediately add to your vocabulary today, and I'm going to give you the chance to practice and perfect it. Number two, as I mentioned earlier, next week I'm going to give you part 2 in this series, and I'm going to share with you my step-by-step process for how you can continue to add this kind of language to your vocabulary so you're more creative, more interesting, more powerful when you speak. And I'll help you learn how to remember those words so you can always use them. But now let's get back to more examples that you can immediately start using today, both in conversations at work and in your daily life. Let's say that you had a very bad day at work. Maybe you had a long meeting and a long to-do list, and you just didn't get everything done. Okay, cool. But what if everything was a disaster? Your computer shut down and you lost all of your work from a project that you've been working on for 2 weeks, and a big client canceled their contract with you. That is more than very bad. In fact, it's horrible. Horrendous, depressing, maybe even grueling. Yes, grueling is definitely a word that we can use to talk about our work sometimes. For example, if you're an accountant in the United States, tax season is a grueling period of time to work. During tax season, you work morning, noon, and night. You have long hours, 7 days a week with no break for 4 months. It's miserable. It's definitely grueling. Now, here's another one that you can use for all those small talk conversations you have about the weather with your neighbor, with your colleagues, or at the grocery store, because honestly, everyone always talks about the weather. You could say something like, "Oof, it's very hot out today," or "It's really cold." But again, using the words very or really, too much, make our language weak and simple. So instead, you could use words like sweltering or boiling hot. Imagine how hot a boiling pot of water is. If it's boiling hot outside, it gives you a much more powerful image of the temperature. And the same is true to use words like freezing or frigid to describe cold temperatures. So I'm curious, what is the winter like where you live? Are most days just a little cold, or do you have some days that are frigid? You feel like you turn to ice when you go outside. Let's do just a few more examples because I want to give you 17 powerful words that you can immediately start using today in this lesson. So for this next one, I've got a question for you. Do you feel annoyed when your neighbors play very loud music? I know I definitely get annoyed, but I'm curious, what exactly is very loud? Does very loud mean that I can hear it a little bit, or does it mean that it's so loud that my walls are shaking? A great word to use when you want to talk about music that is so loud you can't think or hear anything else is deafening. I get annoyed when my neighbors play deafening music. Here's another question for you. How do you feel speaking English? Most of the time, if I ask my students that question when they first start learning with me, they say, very nervous. And that's perfectly normal. But my goal is to help my students feel less apprehensive and less uneasy when they speak in English. Those are two great alternatives to using very nervous. And finally, I can tell you that I feel very certain that this lesson will help you advance your English vocabulary so that you can use more powerful, exciting language when you speak. Or instead of very certain, I could say, I feel confident that this lesson is going to help. And now you have 17 ways to avoid using the word very and instead use stronger, more powerful adjectives when you communicate in English. So are you ready to start using them today? Here's my challenge for you. I want you to choose 2 or 3 words from this list that you really like. Maybe you think they sound cool or they're new to you. Then I want you to tell me exactly how you would use that new word in your own sentence. Think about your daily life and what you do at work. Try using one of those words in your own sentence. It's one of the best ways to truly learn a new word and remember it. So share your example sentences with me just below this video. And if you want to learn how to continue adding advanced vocabulary to your English without forgetting them, be sure to join me next week for part 2 of this lesson. Thank you so much for joining me. If you loved this lesson, please be sure to let me know. The best way that you can do that is to give it a thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe to this channel so you never miss a lesson, and share it with friends or colleagues on Facebook or by email. Have a fantastic week. I look forward to hearing your example sentences using more powerful language in English, and I'll see you next time for your confident English lesson.